What's going on, everybody? This is John Shake Gaming on the mic here, coming at you with a brand new episode of the Dayton Triangles franchise here on Madden 25, featuring 31 other team builder squads to make up a revamped UFL. We're here in year number 3, and what was gonna give us I thought at least a Euro transition has gone nightmarish so far. We are 2-7 as we are now getting deep into the weeds here of year number 3. And unless we have a turnaround sooner rather than later, then we will end up missing the playoffs, and we're just going to be out here having a really bad time, right? So with that being said, guys, we got a big episode line ahead in us here today, man, because we are not going to just play just one game. We are actually going to be playing multiple games in this episode. So we're going to play the Pittsburgh Maulers at home, try to get some revenge from losing to them on the road back in week number 1. We'll also take on the Philadelphia Stars and might see one of your customs at quarterback if the franchise QB from season number 2 has taken over the starting quarterback job. And then we will close out the episode going on the road, taking on the Charlotte Knights. Charlotte having a decent season, even though they've had a couple of guys go to the NFL here or there. So should be a fun episode, man. Hope you guys are excited for it. And if you are, make sure you go ahead and do a couple of things for me. Hit that like button, and then also hit that subscribe button as well if you do happen to be brand new to the channel. But with that being said, guys, let's go ahead and jump right into it. But before we do go ahead and get into any of the gameplay, we do have some things that we need to take care of in terms of preparing for that Pittsburgh matchup. It is a pretty important game for us, not necessarily because it's from a record standpoint. We are looking like we might be cooked here with a 2-7 record, but it's a divisional game, and I want to relish in any opportunity to take down our divisional rival. But the thing is that this could be one of those games where we need to win in a high-scoring manner, because their offense can create big problems for our defense. And I think the biggest thing here is we just need our defensive ends. We got to get pressure on this quarterback, and we need to get pressure on this quarterback as soon as possible, right? That's going to be our biggest key to success there. So we'll get a +5 block shed for our defensive linemen. But then also we get a goal for Leon Thomas as well. Leon Thomas is going to get a dev trade upgrade opportunity. Get 100 yards and 4 receptions. He'll be a superstar. Last thing we have before we jump into the first game of this episode is that we have upgrades. And a lot of upgrades are going to guys that are actually custom players. Your guys' custom players on the team. First, we'll start with Peter Whiteside because he does have the highest overall. Now, Peter Whiteside is our starting left guard, starting opposite of Barry Alfman, who we drafted in the first round last season. He's a good offensive lineman for his own part, and while he doesn't get any overall upgrades with this particular upgrade, he does at least get a +2 to passing block power. Also getting an upgrade is DeAndre Bazier, and listen, DeAndre Bazier has absolutely been doing his thing thus far, as DeAndre Bazier is really starting to emerge as maybe someone that could be a wide receiver 2 for us in the near future. In the meantime, though, he is going to jump up to a 72 overall as we get him multiple pluses in terms of medium route running and short route running as well. Up next is another one of our custom guys in Chris Gentry, who, even though he hasn't made a huge impact for us so far in year 3, you guys probably remember him most from his pick 6 towards the end of season number 2. This time we are going to work on having him be more of a zone fit, and he actually jumps up to a 71 overall, turning into a decent player for us, as he's now going to be a +2 in zone coverage thanks to his upgrade. So we have a few more upgrades to have, and up next is one of our rookie wide receivers that we selected in the UFL draft this past offseason. Well, Michael Thomas hasn't been able to really step on the field all that much. That being said, though, Michael Thomas has been putting in the work, and because he's been putting in that work, he will get an upgrade to his deep threat, where he does get a +2 to catching, among other things. Two more upgrades that we have is Caleb Robbins, who got to play extensively in the preseason, but ever since the regular season has started, we have not had a chance to see him in gameplay because he is the third string quarterback, and Andrew Collar is a pretty durable guy. So Caleb Robbins, we are going to work on his improvision, and he actually jumps up a couple of overalls because of this, as he gets a +3 to break sacks, as well as a +2 to his throw accuracy in the intermediate game. The last upgrade that we have is to Lamar Hayward, and Lamar Hayward at this point in his career is just trying his best to remain on an active roster as long as possible. He's going to get an upgrade here to Field General, and that's going to get him not only to a 62 overall, but he also becomes a scheme fit because of that. He gets a +3 to play recognition and zone coverage as well. So let's go ahead and jump into the very first game of this episode, as we will be at home playing host to the Pittsburgh Maulers. Now, we did end up playing Pittsburgh earlier this season. I think we lost in a close manner, so I want to make sure that we come out here and make sure that we avoid dropping 2 games to this Pittsburgh team, man. That would be huge for us, as now we're looking at a 3rd and short as we trying to get him off the field. Collar's going to run it up the gut, and Sharpen is going to pick up the first down. A nice run for Terrell Sharpen, able to move the sticks for a first down. And this is going to be the way for us to kind of dictate the game to Pittsburgh, right? If we can put together longer, methodical drives like the one that we might be on right here, then that is going to be a true difference maker for us here, man, as Terrell Sharpen is going to be able to go ahead, and they will pick up a good chunk of yards once more. Now, 2nd and short coming up as Collar drops back, does see an open receiver to Leon Thomas. And we do want to make it a key point that, hey, if we see Leon Thomas open, we're going to get him the ball, because I really want him to get that superstar upgrade that's really going to help us out down the line, as we'll run to the outside again with Terrell Sharpening, and Sharpton is going to find the sticks for the first down once again. Sharpton is able to get to the 40-yard line there, and now we're staring down a 2nd and long. So we're getting plenty of time off the clock, but doing a great job as well in making sure that we are moving the ball at every constant opportunity. Plus, for Leon Thomas, one of the goals that we needed was to have at least 4 catches in order for the dev trait upgrade to go through. And to our credit, what I will say is that, you know, Leon Thomas has already partially accomplished that. I mean, we only need 1 more catch for Leon, and he's going to be able to have that part taken care of. But Collar's going to go ahead and scramble here and showing some legs, but we put the ball on the ground. Thankfully, Will Hunter, our wide receiver that we brought in through free agency, he's able to get on top of it. That could have ended in a complete disaster. But thankfully, we still have the ball in our hands, and thankfully, we still have a chance to score. One of the last plays of the 3rd quarter then is Collar looking over to the left-hand side and finds Leon Thomas in the end zone. Touchdown Triangles, and Dayton is going to take the lead. So that ends up being the 4th catch for Leon Thomas. So that goal is taken care of. So now we go ahead and jump into later on in the first half. It's been a very quiet first half, besides what we ended up accomplishing early in the game, as Pittsburgh is on the verge of scoring themselves, as that ends up being overthrown by Will Firth, although Jared Strong had some solid coverage there. As now 3rd and 2 coming up, Firth dropping back to pass, targeting that right-hand side again. This time Jared Strong was, you know, for lack of a better term, he was barbecue chicken. He should have been beaten for a touchdown, but thankfully it was a bad throw, and now it's 4th and 2 coming up. Firth gonna go ahead and run it up the middle. He's gonna give it off to his running back, and that is gonna be just enough to pick up the first down. Pittsburgh gets a whole new set of downs to work with, and on the very next play, Will Firth puts the ball on the ground, and it's Cameron Spencer able to lay on it. He gets the sack, the forced fumble, And he also ends up getting the fumble recovery as well. So the defense is ultimately able to get a goal line stand before the end of the first half. And so Dayton is going to be able to preserve the lead. However, it is actually our offense that is going to be holding us back right now, as we are still all knotted up here. It's 7 apiece or score! And Andrew Collar just throws one of the most disgusting interceptions that I've ever seen. I mean, he throws it clear over the head of Grayson Heidick, which is one problem, but then the linebacker just gets that 40-inch vertical, and eventually leads to a Pittsburgh field goal. So now we're down 10-7 as we need to get points on the board quickly. Collar dropping back, looks over to the left-hand side. He's got an open receiver. It's Leon Thomas down the sideline, and he's gone. Touchdown, triangles, and Leon Thomas right then and there is going to give Dayton the lead. And that will also probably secure a development upgrade for Leon Thomas, who is now going to be identified as a superstar dev. And so with that being said, we are now looking at a 14-10 lead. So if our defense, who's been playing extremely well today, can put together just one more stop, we will come out on top victoriously. But the Maulers are driving, and they are able to get a decent chunk of yards. Well, they end up using a timeout there, and with that completion over the middle, that is going to make it only 50 yards away from taking the lead. Firth is going to dump it off on the very next play, gets to the outside, and barely does enough to pick up the first down there, but that is going to be like one of those, we ended up having to use a timeout. But after that particular throw by Will Firth, all of a sudden, huge chance here for Pittsburgh, a legitimate shot. Probably have 2 plays if they do this correctly as they throw over the middle. But Will Firth is going to end up throwing it away. So it comes down, final play of the game. Either Pittsburgh is going to win and get closer to 500, or we end up winning our 3rd game of the season. 4th and 10, and Firth is going to dump it off, and it's meant by our defender, and that is going to be barbecue chicken. We are going to come out on top as we take down Pittsburgh 14-10, and we win a defensive slugfest here at home against our rivals. Now, this game really turned into a real defensive affair, right? Because only 24 points total were scored in this game, and that's not how we're accustomed to playing. But our boys were able to pull it out here in the very end. We were able to get a game-winning touchdown while we turned the ball over multiple times today, so it wasn't a perfect performance by any means. Our defense is continuing to show some growth as they put together another phenomenal performance today. Now, with that being said, Andrew Collar was not perfect today, as he was 18 for 23, 219 yards and 2 touchdowns. Did also throw 2 interceptions, which one was really confusing as he somehow throws the interception on Grayson Heidick, which I don't know if that's all his fault. Granted, that was an extremely high ball to throw, but it was what it was. Running the ball, we weren't great at running the football. Jarrell Sharpton had less than 4 yards a carry today, although he did tote the rock 12 times. Andrew Collar had a solid run, and then Joe Spears was definitely bottled up today in the backfield, with Jason Bingham getting caught on a jet sweep. Receiving wise though, Leon Thomas absolutely was balling out here, man. He had 10 catches for 144 yards, plus a couple of touchdowns. So Leon Thomas really delivered on the idea of getting him set up and ready to go. It was really his show because nobody else really stood out in particular in today's matchup. But the defense certainly handled their weight and then some, as multiple guys led the lead in tackles today. Peter Townsend, Denario Allen, Niles Cotton, and Ty Moody all had 6+ tackles, with Rod Strong ending up with 5. We did also do a great job getting this quarterback today. Cameron Spencer was able to get a 1.5 sacks, and he also did end up with both the forced fumble and the fumble recovery as well, so he did a little bit of everything today. Daryl McLeod and Paul Hitchens were also able to get a sack as well, with not to mention Matt Weaver stepping in and getting a 1.5 sacks. We did fail to get an interception on Will Hurf though, but a win is a win, and we're just happy to be back in the win column. But right after we left the game screen, we see two of our key players that played foundational roles in us winning this third game of the season. They're going to both get upgrades. So for Cameron Spencer, we're going to go ahead and see what we want to do with him. I don't want to work on his run stopper. I really want him to be kind of like that specialized pass rusher, but if he could be more of a like run stopper so that he can be more of a complete player, that's going to be extremely helpful for us. And he gets a +3 to awareness and block shedding, so that's going to get his overall up to an 84 with that superstar development that he's got going already. And then Leon Thomas, who ultimately caught that game-winning touchdown as well, he gets an upgrade to go with it as well. We're going to work on his slot abilities, and now he's up to an 81 overall with that +3s to multiple items. Carrying is at +2. Catching is at a +3. Juke moves are at a +3 as well. And even though he's showing as a star development as well, after we get back to the main screen, we should be seeing him with that superstar development. And speaking of Leon Thomas, this is probably going to be the notification to let us know that, hey, he's been playing some pretty great games for us this week. And we just let him know that, hey, he played stellar football. I mean, his game-winning touchdown, I mean, really could have changed the course of our entire season. And it makes me feel a little bit better as well about this receiving core going forward, and that Leon Thomas can, in fact, be a clear-cut wide receiver 1 for us someday. We definitely want to make sure that we have that. Now it's just a matter of who's going to be our wide receiver 2 for us long-term, even though DeAndre Bazier definitely has showed some potential in that regard. He definitely has not lived up to that. It's kind of been like an open thing between like Bazier and Will Hunter. But now we'll go ahead and get things going here, getting ready for next week. And in the next matchup that we will have, we will actually be playing against the Philadelphia Stars. Now Philadelphia has one of the worst records in the league, and defensively, their defense is not really much to write home about. Matter of fact, both of their starting corners, at least in the viewpoint of Andrew Collar, feels like they definitely can be exploited pretty easily. So we just have Leon Thomas get the development upgrade up to superstar, and Will Hunter is certainly not a bad football player as well. So how do we define that success? We are going to see if we can get Leon Thomas and Will Hunter to combine for 15 catches. And if we manage to go ahead and accomplish that, I think we'll be put in an extremely good situation to win again. But another thing that we did before we jump into our second game against the Philadelphia Stars is that we had a couple more upgrades for starters that are on the squad. Grayson Heineck, who I still consider to be possibly our best weapon on the team, he's going to get an upgrade using that superstar development. We're going to work on his possession here, and he jumps up to an 85 overall. So a really good football player that we're happy to have. He gets an ability slot, which is really interesting to me. Not sure what that does, although it looks like that means he now has like more abilities to work with, which if that's the case, that's really interesting, and I've never seen that before, to be honest. And then what we're also going to do is our rookie JJ Peters is going to get a look at in terms of like getting some upgrades. And we know that he's a solid run stopper and he's decent in pass coverage, but I'd love to see him continue to go ahead and work on his pass rushing moves. And it starts with maybe what his biggest strength is as a rusher, maybe becoming a speed rusher. And he does jump to, he did stay at a 79 overall, but he does at least get a +2 to finesse moves. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump into the second game of this episode, and let's see if we can do what needs to be done in order to come out on top, as we'll go ahead and get things rolling here against the, I don't know why it's showing as Baltimore, but that's definitely should be like the Philadelphia Stars instead. It is what it is though, as we jump in late in the third quarter, as the first half was really not very entertaining at all. I'm going to be real with you guys here. But late in the third quarter, we do have a chance to take the lead. And on a 3rd and 12, we just do a little bit of a halfback screen. And the second round rookie, Heath Whitehead, he goes ahead and makes a big play for us. Gets the first down. And it makes me really impressed with what I've seen from Heath Whitehead so far. someone that I think could be a key cog in our offense someday. Don't know when that day is going to be necessarily, but it does eventually lead to a short touchdown pass over the middle to Will Hunter, and that will give us the lead against the Philadelphia Stars. That being said, though, with 6 minutes left in the game, and Philadelphia is trying to put together a drive, and the Stars are trying to align here, trying to get above 500, throwing over the middle, and we have a big letdown on the defense. Denario Allen was in coverage, not only gets beat, but does not make the tackle either. And so, with that being said, we are now in a 2-minute drill. I've liked what we've been able to do over the course of the, in the last 2-minute drill, able to turn that into a game-winning touchdown. And now Andrew Collar is in control once again. 3rd and 10 coming up, though, as Collar drops back to pass, drops it off to our star tight end, Grayson Heineck, because we already know we're going for it. And so here it is, 4th and 5 to potentially decide the game here, as Collar's going to drop back. He wants to step up in the pocket as he had Leon Thomas open, so he wanted some help with the accuracy, and unfortunately the pocket gives in, and we will have to give Philadelphia the ball once again, and we're out of timeouts as well. So if Philadelphia scores, it's over, and they'll get the first down. We will go ahead and allow Trevor May to find the end zone to try to improve our chances of winning a little bit. It does not work out. The game would have been over anyways, and we end up losing a close one. 24-14 ends up being your final score. You hate to see it. Now, we lost this game, but again, I don't think this is the defense's fault. Yes, we gave up 24 points, but we did that. The last touchdown we gave up was purely because I wanted to make sure that we gave ourselves even a little sliver of a chance. If we would have tackled him down, then the game would have 100% been over. We gave ourselves a little bit of a sliver of hope. This is more on the offense, and particularly our inability to get any points on the scoreboard in the first half, as Andrew Collar does end up struggling through this game a little bit, just in an uninspiring performance. 17 for 28, so he is fine there. 157 yards and a couple of touchdowns, so he was okay, but he didn't really push the ball down the field, as he only averaged 5 yards an attempt. The running game was a little bit better there, though, as Terrell Sharpen looked solid in the game, as Terrell Sharpen led the way with 11 carries and 51 yards. A few other guys did also get a chance to carry the football as well, including Will Hunter, who got caught behind the line of scrimmage. As for the receivers, listen, Will Hunter did lead the way today with 6 catches, 72 yards, and a touchdown. His best game yet, in my opinion, as a Dayton Triangle. Leon Thomas, after getting the superstar dev upgrade, kind of has a little bit of a fall off here. Only 3 catches and 38 yards. And then no one else in the receiving core outside of Will Hunter really stepped up today, which is disappointing to see. And now defensively, listen, this is not the defense's fault. I'm going to say that right then, there, and now. This is actually our offense this time around that's struggling. So Peter Townsend, Matt Weaver, and Paul Hitchens all had 6 total tackles today, so good solid work being done. Darrell Upshaw and Ty Moody were also not too terribly far behind, with JJ Peters also logging in 5 total tackles today as well. Now, while we weren't really able to get any turnovers, at least I'm not aware of any turnovers, which that looks like to be the case, we did see that Matt Weaver had a really nice day today. He ended up with 2 sacks in the ball game. He was putting in that work. So one silver lining that we at least will have in this loss, as Isaiah Connor is that we're going to get an upgrade for Isaiah Connor. He's been playing some solid football for us. He's up to a 76 overall as of right now, but I want to work on his pass protection, because I want to make sure that Andrew Collar does feel as safe as possible, and he does get a plus free the pass blocking in terms of from a power perspective, but he does not get any overall upgrade like we were hoping for. So with that being said, we did move the week once again, and we do get an upgrade for Quentin Gillislee. Now, Gillislee was somebody that we brought in as a later round pick in the UFL draft. I believe it was the year 1 off season, because he is a second-year player. So for Quentin Gillislee, who does get the upgrade, I want to work on his man-to-man, because he is currently not a scheme fit for us at the moment, and he does at least get up a natural overall. He's now a natural 66, but with the temporary boost, he is still staring at a 67 overall. Most notably, he does at least get a +2 to man coverage, which could help us out a little bit before we get into our last game of this episode. But then let's go ahead and jump into our matchup on the road to take on the Charlotte Knights. And the Charlotte Knights, man, they've been playing some pretty good football going into this game, as they are already 7-4, and they're probably a couple of wins away from locking up a playoff spot over on the NFC sides of things. As you know, Charlotte, unlike the Carolina Panthers, shown that they are one of the more well-run organizations in the UFL, as we'll see them in a goal line opportunity, and Charlotte will in fact get the first points of this game, as Charlotte will find the end zone, and it's a touchdown for the tight end Devin Coles. Now, this was a moment where we could have easily given up, as even off screen we find ourselves down 14-0, but Andrew Collar is going to go ahead and run upfield, makes a good decision there, as both of the primary receiving options was extremely well covered. And so 3rd and 1 coming up, as Leon Thomas is going to throw over the middle, and that's going to be caught nearly for a first down. Thought we were going to be able to get Leon Thomas into the end zone, but alas, it doesn't happen though, and instead it's going to be 1st and goal, and they leave our #1 receiver Leon Thomas wide butt naked open, and that's going to be a touchdown for your Dayton Triangles. We finally get up on the scoreboard. Now, with that being said, we got to be able to get some stops defensively, and we've been able to play a little bit better defensively, but on a 3rd and 3, would like to get him off the field. That is not what I was looking for at all, as McMillan is able to find his receiver. That safety foul for the first down, as Ty Moody couldn't do anything about guarding the bigger body. And Charlotte will be able to continue its march down the field, as they now are going to be inside the 25-yard line. But we will end up making a stand a few plays later, though, as we will force Charlotte to go ahead and kick the field goal. And we're going to find ourselves down by 10 points, but a chance to make some noise before the end of the half. However, we still have free timeouts, so a lot of room to cook here, as Collar's going to drop back, looks over the middle, and he's going to find Joe Spears, a speedy running back, one of those scat backs, like on our football team. And now we find ourselves in Charlotte territory, and going to be driving deeper now that we find Joe Spears once again. He's been doing an extremely good job, able to get open here. And we have a chance to put points on the board before we go into halftime, as I wanted DeAndre Bossier, but unfortunately Sims was able to create too much pressure. Now, 3rd and 6 coming up, as Collar lines up in the shotgun like we won the last plays of the first half, and will dump it off to Stanley Bryant, who does not pick up the first down for us, and will ultimately make sure that we settle for a field goal. But that last drive does create momentum to get us right back into the game, as we're all knotted up at 17 apiece. However, that almost changed. But with that being said, Quentin Gisley, the 4th round pick that we picked in the NFL draft last year, made a really good play. However, it will ultimately end up in vain, as we give up yet another touchdown to Michael Andrews off of the jet sweep of all things. Usually that doesn't work too terribly well in this game, but I mean, occasions are occasionally made, as Charlotte is going to ultimately, I think they're going to pull away here, guys. That is a big time touchdown for Connor Tucker, making a couple guys miss, and then dolphin diving into the end zone as well. And now we're in deep trouble here. 3 minutes left, and it's a 2-score game. Gower dropping back, looks over the middle, and is going to find Will Hunter, who will at the very least reach the midfield logo. And Andrew Collar has certainly not played terrible by any means. He's been very efficient. But on the other hand, though, he has also thrown multiple interceptions. So here we go on another 1st and 10. Collar throws to the right-hand side and wanted to throw over the middle, but that is going to result in an incompletion. Meanwhile, 2nd and 10 coming up as we'll try to throw over the middle once again. And Will Hunter is going to get involved this time around. Nice little catch on the slant, as that will lead to the 2-minute warning. As now looking over the middle, finds Leon Thomas, who's going to drag a defender forward a couple of yards, takes him for a ride. As that will now be a 1st down for your Dayton Triangles. But trying to move with some urgency as we now go into the no huddle. Cowher stepping up in the pocket, but gets hit as he throws the ball. And it'll fall harmlessly to the ground for an incompletion, as it will now be 2nd and 10. Or you already guessed it, we're going to throw for the 1st down. But Andrew Cowher does find a nice spot to step up in the pocket. And Cowher's been doing a good job running the ball here, actually. He's able to go ahead and get some good yards. Then Cowher, who is going to have Leon Thomas open, but just could not get it to him in time. Didn't get off his first read soon enough. And so it's going to be 2nd and 17. Cowher stepping up, throwing over the middle, and finds Grayson Heineck in the end zone. Touchdown, Dayton. And the offense is going to end up putting a spirited fight. But after a failed onside kick, it is going to end in vain, as we will see our squad drop its 2nd consecutive game in a row, losing to a good Charlotte team. So in the last game that we played, it was because of our offense that we couldn't find a way to win the game. This time, this one has to be a little bit more on the defense this time around. I mean, giving up 30+ points in a professional game is not going to do it. It also doesn't necessarily help that we lost the turnover battle as well as did not have the same efficiency in the red zone. Those few things right there are multiple reasons why we lost to a really good Charlotte squad. Now, with that being said, Andrew Cowher was a little bit more of a gunslinger in this one. He did throw multiple interceptions, but he did also throw for 3 touchdown passes. He threw for 290 yards. He was very efficient with a 71% completion percentage. It's just that, once again, Andrew Cowher's put in a spot to where this is the less amount of support that he's had in his career so far, and it's not going too terribly well. And the reason why I say that is because not only was he, doing our thing with passing the ball, he was also leading us in rushing yards as well. He had 50 rushing yards today off of 10 carries. Terrell Sharpen, our leading running back, had only 3 yards a carry. As for the receivers, listen, Will Hunter had a big game today at the very least. He had 8 catches for 103 yards today, but it was Leon Thomas that continues to really shine in what has been an awful season for us here. He's got 7 catches for 76 yards, but also found the end zone multiple times. We also found a way to get the UCF product in the end zone, as he managed to find a way to get 3 catches and 46 yards over the course of this game. However, defensively, we were down horrendous, as it's not usually a good sign when your corner is your leading tackler. He had 9 total tackles in the game, with Niles Cotton and JJ Peters following suit with 5 tackles apiece. We did not get very much pressure at all, though, as our backup strong safety, Daryl Upshaw, was actually the only player that did end up finding a sack in this one. He did have a grand total of 1 sack in this game. But as you can see, we did not force any turnovers as well, so finishing -2 in the turnover battle is not a recipe for success. We will end up dropping yet another game. But even though we lose yet again, Jared Strong's development continues to go kind of well for us here, as Jared Strong is turning into at least a solid corner number 3 for us, as he's already sitting at a 74 overall, could get him up to 75 depending on what this slot upgrade does. And yes, it is, Jared Strong is a 75 overall now. In particular, he does get a +2 to zone coverage, so Jared Strong is molding into a pretty nice player. He was a rookie when we started this series. Alright guys, so we have 5 more games left in this season, so want to take a quick look at how things are shaking out in terms of our standings. And our division outside of Columbus is actually a little down horrendous, right? So we're last in the division, which I'm not surprised about at all. We're second to last in our conference, But, you know, Evansville and Pittsburgh have not been playing very well either. They're both under 500. So Columbus is a good team, don't get me wrong. They've been able to take full advantage of that. So they have currently the #1 seed in the AFC. And then we'll take a look at some of these other divisions as well. Boston once again finds itself on top with a 7-6 record, but Albany is trailing not too far behind. The DC Defenders are also within striking distance as well. The AFC South looks like a very interesting race as well, as Birmingham and Houston are both tied for first place in the South with a 7-5 record. San Antonio is not too far behind with a 5-7 record overall. And then finally, over in the AFC West, the St. Louis Battlehawks continue to be one of the classiest and most well-run organizations in the league. They have a 9-3 record, but the San Diego Fleet, who had one of the worst records in year #1, they are moving on up in the world. They have an 8-4 overall record, and so they're actually in the hunt to win the AFC West, while Las Vegas, who we did beat earlier this season, they're just 5-7. Checking out some of the divisions on the other side of the league, the Louisville Thoroughbreds currently have the lead with an 8-5 record, and then Chicago is actually the only team sitting at 500, but at this point in the year, it looks like this is Louisville's division to lose at this point. In the NFC South, the New Orleans Breakers are now pulling away a little bit in the NFC South. Tampa Bay, however, putting together a nice season though, as they're going to be sitting at 7-5. Atlanta and Arlington are certainly not terrible either. In the East, Charleston has one of the best records in the NFC, as the Dirty Birds again are currently sitting on top. But the Charlotte Knights are giving chase. The Charlotte Knights are looking to chase down the Charleston Dirty Birds, only down by half a game. Shoot, even the Philadelphia Stars and the New Jersey Generals, they're both in the thick of this thing as well. This could be the best division in the UFL this year. As for the NFC West, the Arizona Hotshots are tied with the Columbus Destroyers for the best record in the league. There are 10-2 going into this final third of the season. The LA Wildcats are also doing solid with a 7-5 record, and then Seattle is 6-6. Eugene continues to really struggle after making the championship game last season, as Eugene is in the bottom of the NFC West. Now, with that being said, this is what the records across the league are looking like. So right now, here's how it stands. The Orlando Guardians have the worst record in the league. They are 1-11. If it wasn't for us losing to them, they would not have a single win yet over the course of this season. We're actually tied for the second worst record in the league though, as the Minnesota Blizzard are also sitting at 3-9. We happen to be at 3-9 as well, but I think because our strength of schedule is a little bit better, I think that's why we have the nod for 30th, where Minnesota sits at 31st. So currently in line for a top 5 pick. So with that being said, guys, that is going to wrap things up here in this episode. We found a way to win, and it always feels nice to get a win, but at this point, is it just better for us to tank? Is it better for us to go ahead and maybe take a look at some of the younger guys on our roster, guys that are going to be future starters for us someday? I think that's something I definitely want to explore in the next episode. Something else that I do plan on doing as well is that we will play the full game against the Evansville Thunderbolts and see if we can come out here and at least win against our divisional rival. We beat these guys earlier in the season on the road, but we'll be looking to do the same thing here at home as we try to go 2-0 against Evansville. So that's going to go ahead, wrap things up here in this episode, man. I hope you enjoyed it, even though we only went 1-2. If you did, I need you guys to go ahead and do a couple of things for me. Hit that like button, and then also hit that subscribe button as well if you do happen to be brand new to the channel. This is John J Gaming on the mic signing off, but hoping you guys are all out there having a good one. Take care, everybody.